know, but a year ago, this bill, which by the way extends is about 78, last time I checked, $78 billion added to the deficit unpaid for, would have sailed through. And at least they're having difficulties. Now, I've never seen, my friends, a political climate like we are seeing today. Never in all the years that I've had the honor of serving. The anger, the frustration, the feeling of disconnect between Washington and the people is remarkable. We're seeing it in the Tea Parties, we've seen it in the elections. Who here, please raise your hand if you ever thought we would have a Republican senator from the People's Republic of Massachusetts. None of us ever believed that. So a lot of things are going on, and I don't know all of what's going to happen in this coming election, because I wouldn't have predicted 8 or 9 months ago that we would have won governor's races in Virginia, New Jersey, the Massachusetts race, and others. So I can't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think this upcoming election will probably be the most interesting that any of us have ever seen. And I think those frustration and anger is justified. It's totally justified. And Republicans let spending get out of control as well. When we were in power, when Republicans were in power. John Kyle, who by the way is doing a great job, he's our Republican whip, which means that he's the #2 guy, and he hasn't tried to keep all 41 of our Republican votes in line. I wouldn't have his job if you paid me $1 million a year. I mean, with all those egos, somebody said it's like herding cats, and somebody else said it's like keeping frogs in a wheelbarrow. But John is doing a great job, and we feel we've been trying very hard to get some restraints on the spending. Could I mention Luke Air Force Base a second? I want to thank everybody here, especially our mayors, for their outstanding support for Luke Air Force Base, and the men and women who serve, and those who work there, and our retirees, and I'm grateful. It's one thing to have a kind of a monolithic situation, but each of the mayors and city councils here have given up something in order to preserve Luke Air Force Base. And they deserve great credit for doing that. And I would remind you, the latest estimates I saw, $2.2 billion input into our economy here is due to Luke Air Force Base. The very Goldwater ranges are the best training in the world. And it's not just money that makes me so supportive of Luke Air Force Base, but the best training in the world is right here in Arizona in the very Goldwater ranges. And it's Luke, it's Davis-Monthan, it's Yuma, and units that come from literally all over the United States, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps to train. It's very difficult now to get any real training on the East Coast of the United States of America because of the population growth and encroachment. So more and more of the training is done right here. And these people come in and they contribute during their training and they leave. And our bases contribute something like $10 billion a year to our economy here in Arizona. And then when you count up all of the civilian employees, and then when you count up all the ancillary industries and companies and corporations that do business, it is huge. And when we gain control of the Senate, we Republicans, I'll be chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and I will be able to help even more than I have in the past. So, but most importantly, to me, as a former naval person, is that people love to serve here. They love to raise their families here. They love to retire here. Just look at the numbers. And we have an all-volunteer force, so it matters whether the men and women in the military are happy or not. And they're happy here because of the welcoming, the environment, because of the treatment, the educational opportunities, and the commercial opportunities that exist. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank every one of you here for all of your support of the men and women who are serving. And by the way, I noticed our friends from Southwest Gas are here. I did mention to them earlier, if anybody has any complaints about their rates, they're ready to agree with me and chat with you after this is over. And if there's any problem with your health insurance, please see United. And of course, if you're looking for a good place to, then they're right there to you. Please. Quest, any problems with your cable rates or anything to do with telecommunications? Mr. Campbell is there. He's on a work release program too. So let me just make a couple more remarks, and then I'd like to respond to your questions that you have. These are difficult times. We are running up this deficit. My favorite bumper sticker lately is the bumper sticker that says, "Please don't tell President Obama what comes after a tree." That's one of my favorite ones, because the greatness of America has always been that we have handed off to the next generation of Americans a better nation than the one that we inherited. I can't tell you that will be the case with the next generation, with this burgeoning debt that we are accumulating. And we're not Greece, but we are not on sound grounds unless we make some fundamental changes in the way that we do business in Washington. And it really has to be to stop spending. We just have to stop it. Government has grown, doubled in size since 1999. The numbers are staggering. It took 206 years to accumulate $1 trillion debt. Now we're 13 trillion, and by the end of the decade it will be 16 trillion. I mean, and look at just the interest on that debt. And after a while, we're going to stop. The Chinese are we're going to stop borrowing money from the Chinese. I think it was Margaret Thatcher that said, the trouble with socialism is that sooner or later you run out of other people's money. And I think she was right. I'd like to mention our issue with immigration with you very briefly. I noticed this morning one of the media people at the lab came up to me just a few minutes ago and said that Secretary Clinton had announced for Ecuadorian television, I don't know how that happened, that the Justice Department was going to sue the state of Arizona. Asked me what I thought about it, and I said, well, you know, the Attorney General said that they were going to try and sue Arizona a long time ago, and obviously they haven't found a reason for doing so, but I'd be very interested. My friends, the reason why the legislature and the governor passed the bill and the governor signed it is for one simple reason and one only, and that is because the federal government abrogated its responsibility to secure our borders. And that's why it happened. In today's Washington Post, there's an article about the violence in Mexico. I'm telling you, it is staggering. I'm telling you, it is the most underreported thing that's going on in the world. 23,000 Mexican citizens have been murdered in the last 3 years. And the drug cartels are in an existential struggle with each other and the government of Mexico. And the cruelty and barbarism is horrendous. And the treatment of these, by these human smugglers, of the people that they're smuggling, is atrocious. Next time you're in a conversation with one of our liberal friends, ask them where the human rights activists are that care about the treatment of these people that are being smuggled across our border. The drop houses, the rapes, the holding for ransom. It's horrible. And yet I don't